Hi, I'm James Burnham, and I got wisdom from the trail here today. It's my new segment, and today we're going to talk about overcoming emotional triggers. Emotional triggers are a thing that most of us have. It's a part of life. You face a very difficult situation in your life. It informs you on what happens in that specific situation. And then when you face it again, your past informs you of what's happening, and you are no longer reacting to the situation in front of you. You're reacting to a situation that happened from before. And the trigger is when you emotionally react greater than the circumstance demands. There's all kinds of examples of this, right? When we look at it. I have tons of stories, but I'll give you a real quick one before I break into it. I was at an event. I got invited to a networking event, and I was there for business, and I thought it was really cool. And I walked in, and we sat down, and they read a script saying that to be a part of the group, you had to admit that there was a God, and that you had to be a good Christian man. And it triggered me. And we started with a prayer. It triggered me for a number of reasons. I grew up in Canada where you don't mix religion with business. That was kind of like a faux pas for me socially. But I was in the US, and that's not so much the case down here. I believe in a God. It wasn't the fact that I don't believe in a God that bothered me. The fact that bothered me was that I have many friends of different religious beliefs or none at all, atheist. In fact, one of my friends was an atheist that was sitting right beside me. And I thought, so he's not welcome if he can't admit that he believes in your God? I don't want to be a part of a group that excludes somebody based on their personal belief. I want a more open, broad, accepting thing. Like these are the thoughts in my head. And during the prayer that came up and all this stuff, I almost stood up. My reaction was quite visceral. And I wanted to stand up and say, I was deceived. You brought me here under false pretenses, and walk out. That was what I wanted to do. But I recognized I was triggered. I recognized that I was not in the best mindset and that I was possibly overreacting to the situation. I also knew the guy that invited me was a really good guy. And he, with all the good intent in his heart, wanted me to have an experience that was similar to his, where he felt included and loved and enjoyed this environment. So I was able to sit back down, wait it out, and I sent him an email later saying, hey, that's not for me, and this is why, and I appreciate the invite, but I won't be coming again. And I felt so much better about having handled it that way versus moving into my trigger. That was a successful story. The fact that I recognized I was triggered took a lot of work for me to get there. And most of the time in my past, I would have just stormed out of there and made everyone feel awkward and embarrassed for themselves liking that space. And I didn't want to do that. So I was successful that time. But the key is learning to identify, first of all, places and things that trigger you. So if you begin to understand, oh, these are the types of things that when they happen, attacks on me in this space, in this way, cause me to light up. Or when somebody says this thing about me, it causes me to light up. I have issues around people making me feel stupid, because I felt really stupid for many years as a kid. I barely graduated from high school. I was a poor student. I had all sorts of behavioral problems. I was in remedial classes, and I just didn't think I was capable of anything. It still hits me. I managed to get into college and do my degrees, but that thing can still rise up for me. I have other ones, but that's a big one. So if you have stuff like that, you identify it first. Make sure that you know. And then if you have a trigger that you didn't pay attention to or it hits you, identify it. Make sure that you understand it. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to kind of gamify these situations where you're triggered. This can be really fun. You turn it into play. So when you fail, because you will, when you enter a situation, you have a triggering event, you react poorly, after you calm down, you go home and then you analyze that situation and you look at how long did it take me to turn and come back to equilibrium? What was the moment that I felt the pressure building and I continued and then I let go and unleashed? All of those things, you see that trigger, those stages, and then you give yourself the opportunity to plan out a different course of action when you meet that situation again, because you will. That's the cool thing with triggers. It's like having an injury, right? I hurt this finger, and I'm telling you, I hit this thing on shit all the time, and it hurts. And I keep thinking to myself, why can't I quit hitting it? I never hit it when it's healed and good, but when it's sore, I keep hitting it. And that's what a trigger's like. It's sensitive. It feels every touch. It feels all these things, and the pain lashes out at you emotionally, and you react. So gamify. And then what happens is When you face that situation the next time, you can put in certain stop gaps to remind yourself of what to do. Get up and leave the room. If you're not ready to handle it in any way at all, just get up and quietly leave. Get out of the situation. Or, have some questions in mind that will help you. Whatever those things are that you think will help let you react better, you do that. But don't take on too much at one time. Some triggers are significant because the trauma that you face is significant. If you're a returning war veteran that has seen some graphic and horrible things, or you have had serious trauma from someone in your life that abused you in some way, there may be things that really cause you to light up. Give yourself compassion for that. So that's the third step. Start offering yourself deep compassion for your behavior when you don't perform the way you want to. When you're offering yourself compassion, you're giving yourself the space to meet this event with clarity, to not dismiss it entirely with blame on another or blame on yourself. It allows you to see the nuances of the situation so that you can, in fact, map out what happened and see where you fell apart, where you went wrong, and then to see the level, this point at which you are capable of addressing that. Maybe it's so significant at this time, you are not able to enter into a space where anything like that is happening. You must first give yourself the healing that you need to move into that. After you have gamified, you've offered yourself compassion for the ways that you are failing, then what you want to do is you want to take a look at where you're strong. What are those places in your life where, somebody can say anything to you and you just laugh? You're just like, what? Like I'll have people make fun of how I dress sometimes. They'll be like, oh, flashy jacket. I kind of wear flashy stuff. And there's a lot of men that will make fun of me for it. I don't care. I truly don't. I literally just laugh at it because it doesn't matter to me. But if you were to mock me for my intelligence in the right way, man, you might get under my skin and I might lash out and be embarrassed by how I react to you. Maybe you're just playing around with me and I didn't catch it because my past triggered me and I missed the nuance of your joke and I lash out. That can be an embarrassing thing to happen. And so what we do is we look at where we're strong, we look at how we react, and where we have that template, we place it on our weak place. And that gives you a roadmap to build your strength. And so then the last thing that you do is you take a look at your weak place and you find some measure of manageable discomfort that you can handle without tipping into a trigger. So like I said, if it's too significant at this point, maybe your management of that is simply therapy or some sort of process that allows you to become comfortable with what happened so that you can begin to approach it in some way. Until that happens, you've got to hang on and you've got to do the work to get there. Find that brave stuff. But these are the steps that you do. If you can do them, you can build your strength. There are far too many people in this day and age that are taking their triggers and using them as a cocoon to protect themselves from everything in life that is difficult. And this is an utter lack of growth. This will weaken you. This will diminish your capacity to perform. This will keep you from actually living the life you want to live. The pursuit of comfort is the antithesis of growth. Now, we all need comfort in our lives because when we go out into the world and we stretch ourselves and face difficulty, we have to have a safe haven to come back to recoup, regenerate, and step out again. But when you have that space and you expand it to encompass all of your existence, wow, you're really limiting your experiences in life. And I see this all the time right now where I see people who seek solely after comfort and pleasure. And their lives are mundane, their lives are sad, and they're full of just blame and unhappiness. Facing your triggers, building that strength, overcoming the triggers that hit you is a powerful, powerful thing. One of the ways that I love to do that is I love to take a dip in the cold water. And it allows me to remind myself of a way that I used to face difficulty. Triggers, water, cold water was a trigger for me. I would never get into cold water. But once I realized that I could face it and overcome it, I began to do it just as a challenge to myself to know I can get in this space. I have the strength, regardless of how cold it is, to face that cold without having hypothermia, as long as I keep my body moving and overcome it. So I do it. It's fun. That's how I do it. I'm James Burnham. Stick around. I got another video coming up. Like, subscribe, make a comment. Appreciate you following me. Goodbye.